So it looks like the Scarlet Witch is indeed returning to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it might not be how you expect it to be. It sounds like we might have to wait a little bit longer than we thought we'd have to get the return of the Scarlet Witch, but it might pay off in a really big way. And also in a way that I think Elizabeth Olsen, the actress who plays the Scarlet Witch, might be a little bit more happy with as well. In a new report from thecosmiccircus.com, Alex Perez has revealed that the Scarlet Witch is one of the characters post Avengers Doomsday that is not going to get recast, meaning the Scarlet Witch, specifically Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch, the one that we have known this entire time in the MCU, she's going to survive the reset. The president of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, has already confirmed that Secret Wars will indeed reset the MCU. It's going to reset the timeline, is what he said. And according to Alex Perez, this might actually be the key on how the Scarlet Witch is brought back to life. Now, at this point in time, we've heard a lot of rumors and reports about the current state of the Scarlet Witch. Is she going to be returning? Is she not going to be returning? Is she actually dead, or is she still alive? Well, Kevin Feige himself even teased that she was going to be alive because he stated when Wundagore Mountain fell on top of her, we did see that flashing red light, kind of hinting that she was alive. However, we do know that was before Marvel Studios changed all of their plans. That was before Robert Downey Jr. returned as Dr. Doom, and their plans were still Kang. And we know that when Robert Downey Jr. returned as Doom and the Russo brothers came in with Stephen McFeely to write the new stories, a lot changed in the MCU. But what does that mean for the Scarlet Witch? Well, it seems like the plans that Marvel Studios had for her might have changed, and they might have changed for the better, depending on how you view what's going to happen. Because it sounds like Marvel doesn't really have any plans to bring back the Scarlet Witch before Secret Wars, and possibly not even during Secret Wars. Rather, they have some pretty big plans for her after, and this is actually due to the reset. After hearing many reports and talking to a few different insiders, it sounds like Elizabeth Olsen isn't going to be returning in Doomsday or Secret Wars, but Marvel rather is going to use the reset as a way to kind of bring her back to life. Now, I'm not saying that it's 100% confirmed that she's not going to be in Doomsday or Secret Wars, but what I'm saying is insiders who have heard stuff about the movie, quite a few things, have not heard anything about the Scarlet Witch. So she's either not in it or they're keeping her role very secretive. I do think there's obviously a way to bring her back in Doomsday and Secret Wars, but this way of bringing her back after does make sense as well, because according to Alex Perez, dead heroes are coming back after the reset. He states, there will be previously dead heroes and villains brought back from what I've been told. Mainly because with the reset, certain events that we know happened in the MCU will have occurred in a different way, meaning they could kind of erase Multiverse of Madness. Elizabeth Olsen wasn't exactly thrilled with the plot of her becoming a villain, and a lot of fans weren't as well. So Marvel could see this as a pretty big opportunity. Hey, with the reset, we can essentially rewrite what happened in the past, and we can make it to where Multiverse of Madness never happened. Elizabeth Olsen can be happy and return, and the fans can get some new stories with the Scarlet Witch. So let me explain how the reset does rewrite history, but also how this opens the door up for some pretty cool stories for the Scarlet Witch in the future. And based on another thing Alex Perez said, it actually sounds like Marvel has already begun with their plans for the Scarlet Witch's story post Secret Wars. And it does start with the reset, because like Kevin Feige said, it's going to reset the timeline. But let me explain what this means. The example that we've been using, and the example that Alex Perez even used himself, is how Crisis on Infinite Earths worked with the Flash. Basically, there were an infinite amount of universes that existed. However, after the event, only one existed, and a bunch of characters from other universes were now in that one universe. But they don't remember anything about the past in their old universes. They think that the universe that they're in currently, the only one, was always the universe that they've been in. Therefore, their past history had been rewritten. So essentially, if Multiverse of Madness gets rewritten, the Scarlet Witch never dies, therefore she is alive in the new universe. Which is great. The Scarlet Witch returns, Elizabeth Olsen returns to play her, and there are a lot more stories with the Scarlet Witch that we can do. Especially with the X-Men coming to the MCU. They could do the story where Magneto is the father of the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. And like Alex mentioned, characters that were dead will be brought back to life, and I'm assuming Quicksilver would be one of those characters, especially with the X-Men now in the MCU. MCU in the new universe. It really would be a shame to not have him come back. I'm not saying that it has to be Aaron Taylor Johnson, but they need to bring back Quicksilver, especially with Wanda returning and Magneto being in the MCU. I mean, the story's right there for them to do. And from there, you can do incredible stories like House of M, like a true adaptation, not what we got in WandaVision. Not saying anything about WandaVision was bad. I loved it, but we could get a true adaptation. And that brings me to what the story actually could be at first for the Scarlet Witch. Another question that Alex Perez was asked in his Q&A was about the Champion/Young Avengers project that we've heard is in development. Someone asked if this was going to be coming before or after Secret Wars, if he's heard anything about it, and Alex replied with after. Also in the question was any chance we could see the Eternals in Secret Wars, so for those wondering about that, he says no Eternals in Secret Wars as far as he knows. It really does seem like Marvel has scrapped all of their plans for the Eternals, at least for the time being. I'm sure we'll revisit them in the future, but not for a bit. But the Champion/Young Avengers project is seemingly coming after Secret Wars, and it sounds like they're going to go down the Children's Crusade storyline. And I have to admit, this was a story that I thought we'd probably get in Doomsday or Secret Wars, especially because of Doom's involvement. However, we have been hearing that Marvel Studios is considering keeping Robert Downey Jr. on board as Dr. Doom even after Secret Wars, basically just making him the main Doom of the MCU for the next 10 years or so. Which honestly I think would work, especially if you consider the ending of Secret Wars in the comics. But go ahead and let me know your thoughts about that if that happened. But the Children's Crusade storyline essentially follows Wiccan and Speed, the children of Wanda, mostly Wiccan though, trying to find their mother, the Scarlet Witch. Ultimately, Wiccan does track her down, and where is she? She's with Dr. Doom, about to marry him. However, all of her memories have been wiped away. However, she is still pretty curious about what this young child is telling her about who she is. Now, ultimately, Doom gets Wiccan, and ultimately the X-Men and the Avengers show up to save Wanda and fight Dr. Doom, but Wanda ends up remembering everything and her powers come back. And in a very interesting twist, she actually sends them back. She remembers everything, but still chooses to be with Dr. Doom, and she even still plans on marrying him. Ultimately, stuff happens and Dr. Doom chooses power over her like an idiot, and they don't get married. And that's basically a super quick version of the Children's Crusade storyline, which is what we're hearing the Champion/Young Avengers project is going to be, which makes sense because we know that Wiccan from Agatha all along is going to go search for his brother Tommy, aka Speed. And now Wiccan knows that the Scarlet Witch is his mother, so ultimately he'll tell Tommy that, and eventually they'll go search for their mother, the Scarlet Witch. And honestly, with the reset, rewriting history, you could basically do whatever you want. You could say Wanda doesn't have her memory. You can still have her with Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom. When you rewrite time, you can say anything happened, anything is possible, which is how we'll get back to the Scarlet Witch. Now again, this isn't 100% confirmed, it is likely, but there is still a chance that Wanda could appear in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars. We did hear a rumor that perhaps Dr. Doom wanted Franklin Richards so he could revive the Scarlet Witch, a rumor that I personally really liked, especially after watching the Fantastic Four. That could happen, but I would set expectations pretty low and not really expect it, that way we're not too disappointed. Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars is already going to be incredibly packed with amazing characters. It would be awesome if the Scarlet Witch showed up, but it's nice to know that Elizabeth Olsen is not going to be recast. She's going to continue to play the Scarlet Witch post Secret Wars, and that we will be getting more of her. So like I said, this is good, but not particularly in a way that you probably thought. So go ahead and let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. And of course, if we hear any updates about the Scarlet Witch at all, we'll be sure to update you in a video. So don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Don't forget to like the video, and you can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.